Frustration is the first step forward towards improvement. It's when I face frustration and I use it to fuel my dedication that I feel myself moving forward. John Bingham. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fire Play podcast. I am Canna Campbell. This morning we are talking about financial frustration, but before we begin, a quick reminder that all of my content is general advice and educationally based only. Nothing is personal advice, strategic advice, or investment advice. So please always bear that in mind. And if at any time you start wondering whether you should be doing something or using a particular product, that's when you should reach out and speak to a financial planner and get personal advice tailored to your situation, goals, and deadlines. All right, so today I'm talking about financial frustration, and this is a really powerful podcast that I think is going to help a lot of people, and I think a lot of people will relate to financial frustration. So if you're listening to this and think, yep, this is good stuff, this is going to help me, and this is going to help my friend or my brother or my sister or my aunt or uncle or my parents, please can I ask you a favor? Can you please make sure you go and share this podcast? Share it as an Instagram story, tag a friend on Instagram, post it on your Facebook page, send it to a friend in an email, because every time you share, every time you save, every time you comment, every time you like, this really helps me keep going in creating this free content for you. And I am so dedicated and determined to help as many people as possible in the world, not just in Australia, but in the world, worldwide, with reducing and ideally completely eliminating financial stress in our lives. Now, as I said, today I want to talk to you about financial frustration, what it is, and what you can do about it, because I actually believe financial frustration is actually a blessing in disguise, and I want to share with you why. So what is financial frustration? Well, it's when you're working really hard on your goals, but you just don't feel like you're actually getting there or getting there fast enough. You're definitely motivated, you're definitely inspired, and you are working hard, but you aren't seeing big enough progress. Or maybe you're not even seeing any progress at all. It's like a plateau, like radio silence. And to be honest, when I experienced this myself, it's kind of torture. It's just, it eats me alive. And I actually sometimes get so angry that I'm so frustrated. It's annoying, to say the least. And I have had many, many conversations with people about this period in their lives. And look, this financial frustration comes in at all sorts of different stages and phases and cycles in everyone's lives. It's normal, it's natural, it's part of life. And you might be someone who's, for example, experiencing financial frustration as you're paying off debt. You may be working on paying off, say, some pesky credit card debt that's been annoying you for a really long time, and you've hit a wall. You might be building up some savings. Maybe it's emergency savings, maybe it's savings for something exciting like a holiday or a particular goal, and you're thinking, I just can't seem to break through this limit of savings. My savings account isn't exceeding this level. You might be saving up for your first home, which is something I can definitely relate to because I saved for, I think, 6 years to buy my first home. You may be working on some investing goals where you're trying to just continuously build up your investment portfolio, whether it be shares, whether it be property, whether it be bonds, whatever it might be in your investment portfolio, and you just don't seem to have enough money to just keep going and keep building up your investment portfolio. Or maybe you're planning for your retirement and you're just don't seem to have any new money coming in to help put towards your retirement goals. Or maybe you're working on all of these different things in your life. You're working on paying off debt, you're working off building savings, you're saving up for your first home, and you're investing and you're planning for retirement. You're juggling all these balls and you just don't seem to be getting anywhere. And I get it. I totally get it. I could swear it's so frustrating. And at the moment, I'm actually working on a small financial goal of my own. And it is driving me nuts because I've hit my own wall, my own financial frustration. I have slowed right down. I've plateaued. I've done all these things. I've gone in leaps and bounds towards this goal, and I've kind of hit a dry patch. I've sold everything I possibly can. I can't actually work any more hours at the moment because I'm looking after my 3 kids. We've got school holidays at the moment. I'm kind of still on maternity leave, although I'm slowly returning back. Tom's working crazy hours, so I can't actually beef up my hours anymore. I'm doing everything I possibly can. I've, gone through my budget. I've really cut all financial wastage and leakage in my life. And the little things that I've got going on are like teeny tiny savings here and there. Like this morning I sold a plant on Gumtree for $10. And don't get me wrong, I really respect that it all adds up. But I feel like it's just painfully slow in working on this financial goal. And it is annoying the crap out of me. But I have to say, I have experienced this many times in my life in my financial journey. As I mentioned a second ago, it took me 6 years, if not longer, to save for my first property. And I used to, like every Thursday when the listings would go online on realestateanddomain.com, I would jump on the computer and like look up like all these different apartments and all these different areas and all these different price ranges. I would check my savings accounts to see how my deposit was going. I'd wait for the beginning of every month when the bank would pay the interest on my savings account. I would go and visit these apartments and do inspections as I got closer and closer. I would become so disheartened, but I know from experience throwing the towel in and getting totally disheartened where I'd just stop and give up definitely wouldn't help me anyway. And because I pushed through, because I kept going, because I never gave up, I'm in a financially strong position today. And I know that when these moments of frustration happen, you need to keep going. You need to push through. You need to have faith. You need to try different things. And I hate to say it, but you need to be patient. But promise me, you've got to trust me on this. This financial frustration, this moment, it passes and you come out better. You come out stronger and you come out wiser. And there are actually, to be honest, lots of blessings to come from this. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, how to handle it. So it's actually not all that bad. Now, so the truth is, when you experience financial frustration, it isn't actually all that bad. And in fact, there are lots of different things you can do that will actually benefit your financial goals and your financial well-being, but on a holistic level. Even when there is nothing happening, you've done absolutely everything in your life that you can possibly do to come up with extra money or save extra money or pay off extra debt. And to be really honest with you, it's actually quite fascinating how uplifting and how helpful this blessing in disguise of financial frustration can be. So this is what I recommend. When you're experiencing financial frustration, I recommend you go back and have a look at how far you have come. I always recommend you track your progress, you track your results, because progress fuels success. It's like that diet or that exercise plan or that fitness plan. When you go back and go, wow, last month or last year or even last week, I could only run this far or I could only bench press this much. When you actually realize, wow, I actually knocked off $1,000 with my debt last month, or actually I have $500 more in my savings account than I did 3 months ago. Or actually, I've got this much more in my superannuation. When you actually have tracked and monitored your financial journey, this makes a big difference because this actually helps you realize how far you have come. And it dramatically helps you get through these moments of frustration when you feel like there's nothing happening. You're stuck in mud because you realize you've come a long way. And that actually gives you that kick or that realization that you can keep going and you can be really proud about what you have achieved. There have been moments in my life where I've sat down with clients, financial planning clients that is, where I've given personal advice, and they've turned up to my office and we've gone through their review, and they have turned up so annoyed at themselves and so frustrated and so disheartened. And when I've sat down with them and gone through the review with them and we've gone through how far they've come and what they've achieved and where they were this time last year and where they were 3 years ago and 5 years ago and 7 years ago, it isn't uncommon for them to break down in tears because they realize they've done really well. They actually can be really proud of themselves. They've achieved a lot more than they really realized. And the relief is huge. And they realize actually they've been really tough on themselves, way tougher than they needed to be. And it's huge. So this is why I always recommend that you go back and have a look at how far you have come. And you do that by making a note, whether it be an Excel spreadsheet, a Word document, or simply a note in your phone as to where you stand financially and the dates, because you can track the results and see you're actually doing a lot better than what you realize. The next thing I recommend is you go back to that goal and you focus on that goal and you reconnect with that goal. Because sometimes we, lose motivation or can get bored with that goal when we forget about why that goal is important to us. I know with this particular goal that I'm working on myself, it's become a bit soulless. It's become almost like a telephone number goal. And so when I stopped and asked myself, what does that goal and the value behind that goal bring into my life? Why is it so important that I want to achieve that particular goal? What emotions and benefits of achieving that goal is it going to bring into my life? And when I did that, I realized it was relief. It was pride. It was satisfaction. It was a sense of having, more control back in my life as well. And that really helped me reconnect with this goal. So I got my why back again. And this is really important because it can help you break through if you're feeling a little bit unmotivated. So go back to that goal and make a list. List on a scrappy piece of paper if you want right now, and write down, why is this goal so important to you? What value does it bring into your life? What does this goal mean to you? What is it going to mean to you by achieving this goal? Even if you just bullet point, that is great. That is actually perfect because it will reignite a really important and really valuable sense of motivation in your life to achieving that goal. The next thing to think about is, what is the next goal that you want to achieve once you've found this? Now, this was really interesting because I had become so fixated on this particular goal. I had, forgotten about life beyond this goal. What other things do I want to achieve beyond this goal? As I said, this was only a small goal that I'm working on that I've hit a bit of a plateau with. And I sort of have forgotten there's life beyond this goal. So I stopped and asked myself, okay, once you've achieved that goal, what's the next thing you want to work on? Where's the evolution of your financial journey in this particular phase of your life? And I realized I've become so fixated on this, I didn't even know what I wanted to achieve next. So after investing some time sitting on this and thinking about it, I realized, okay, well, there's another couple of different goals I really want to work on. And I want to work on them in different ways and more creative ways and at different speeds. And this actually made me even more excited about trying to break through this dull patch, this dry patch, so that I can start doing these other things and start, taking a wider approach in my financial strategies and my financial well-being. And this is great because it's been a great catalyst to try and break through this dry patch. And I'm actually really excited about, smashing through this small goal so I can start working on other important areas in my life that all help contribute towards my financial well-being. The other thing that I strongly recommend is to give yourself a reward. It can be easy in our lives, particularly at the moment with the cost of living so high and there's so much financial stress around inflation and interest rates, to forget about having a reward in there. I'm not saying, an expensive, extravagant reward, but having that, missing ingredient or vital ingredient in your financial journey of a reward along the way is really, really important. Now, this might be something like a special purchase. It might be something like a beautiful experience, like a massage, or maybe going away for a nice weekend. Or maybe it's something very, very simple and also very frugal, like buying yourself a book, or maybe having a night in where you make yourself a beautiful meal where you buy special ingredients and get yourself maybe a beautiful bottle of wine and a particular type of food that you don't buy on a regular basis, honoring a ritual or a tradition or something that's meaningful for you. But make sure you're putting some rewards in place for those goals. And one thing that's really great, if you're really stuck with your goal, break it down. Break it down into mini bite-sized goals. So say, for example, your goal is to hit, say, $10,000 in emergency savings, and you're just not getting there. Perhaps break it down into $1,000 goals. So for each $1,000 goal that you achieve, you do something nice for yourself. And of course, that doesn't mean you go and spend $200 as a reward. You might go and spend, say, $50 on a reward. Maybe you go and get an amazing pedicure or manicure. Maybe you go and take yourself out to the movies, but break it down. So sometimes we can think about that big goal and we don't realize actually we're slowly and steadily getting there. It's just slow, but breaking the goals down into mini bite-sized, achievable, manageable goals makes a big difference. It's the whole principle behind the $1,000 project. The next thing is to brainstorm and work out what else can you do? What other different things have you not thought of before that you could potentially do now? Different things that can help you save, hustle, manifest, create, earn cash in your life that you can put towards your goals. And some of these might be short-term solutions, things like giving yourself a no spend month or week. Or maybe they're long-term things where you go, look at your budget again, or things you can do to bring in some extra money. Maybe you can hit your boss up for a pay rise or a promotion, or maybe it's time to maybe look at a new job. Maybe it's time to look at a new course so that you can increase your value and then ask for a pay rise in the future. Think short-term, think long-term. Ways to come up with money in your life. Is there something you can rent out for extra money? Is there something you can sell for extra money? Can you declutter your wardrobe? Can you maybe rent some of your wardrobe out to earn some extra money? Leave no stone unturned and brainstorm with other people. Brainstorm with your friends. Some of my girlfriends have given me the best ideas to help come up with extra money for the $1,000 project. So again, grab that piece of paper and pen and write down as many ideas as to ways that you can come up with extra money and save extra money, hustle extra money, earn extra money, manifest extra money. And if you want cool ideas, I highly recommend you go and watch my Manifesting March vlog on YouTube, because that was profound what happened. I think I manifested well over $10,000 for the month of March. It was really quite freaky. And those benefits are still, I can proudly say, benefiting my life right now. The next thing is to go wide. Okay, what do I mean by go wide? All right, quite often when we're working on one particular financial goal in our lives, we get this tunnel vision. We become really narrow-minded and we forget about the other areas in our lives financially that could benefit from our attention. So what exactly do I mean? All right, well, at the moment, for example, I'm really focusing on this short-term, small financial goal. And when I say small, it's not really that small, but it's still an important goal to me. But I realized that because I've become so obsessed with this goal, I've taken my eye off the other areas in my life that need my attention, love, and care. So, for example, I took my eye off my budget and found myself, spending occasionally money that I really could have avoided. For example, today we're going to the aquarium at school holidays. And in my head, I was like, okay, well, we can buy food there. And I was like, actually, no, we don't need to do that. We're going to pack lunches, we're going to pack snacks, we're going to pack water bottles, and we're going to avoid spending money as much as possible at the aquarium. So go back to your budget, look at your budget and see if it needs to be reviewed. See that all of those expenses reflect your value system. What can you cut down? What can you cut out? Short-term and long-term, temporary and permanent. Other things to look at are your insurances, your general insurances. Do you have the right levels of cover in place? Do you have the right types of cover in place? I'll never forget. It was probably about 5 years ago, and there was a massive storm in Sydney, and Tom's apartment flooded. And he was in Hong Kong for work at the time, and he called me. He's like, can you just pop over to my apartment and check that it's okay? And I opened the door, and it was flooded. Like, there was like a swimming pool in his apartment. I had to call the SES to get them over. And the floorboards were starting to buckle. It was a mess. And I called him. I'm like, honey, tell me you've got insurance. And he was like, no, it's an apartment. I don't need insurance. He had no home and contents insurance. So in these times, when you're feeling frustrated and nothing's happening and you're sort of twiddling your thumbs, waiting for something to do, this is a time to look at what's going on right now in your financial affairs. So think about, have I got the right types of cover in place? Do I have the right levels of cover in place? Are the premiums competitive? Now, on that note, with premiums being competitive, most people have had their insurance premiums increase pretty much across the board of all types. Now, that is not a recommendation to cut it out or cut it down, because I'm not giving you advice here. It's not strategic advice or product advice. You need to obviously get advice, read the fine print, think about what's right for you and your situation. Of course, go get personal advice. I know myself, and this is not advice, I'm just sharing this with you. I value my insurances all to different types, including the personal insurances, which I'll come to in a second. So even though my premiums have gone up, I actually value that insurance more than ever before, because I know in some areas of my life I'm not insurable, but because I've taken out that cover early in life, I don't need to worry about it because I'm covered as to where I stand right now from a medical perspective. So use this time to check what you've got in place, make sure it's right for you, your goals, your budgets, what's important to you, and obviously the risks and deadlines that you cover in your life. Now going into personal insurances, this includes this cover as well. What life cover have you got in place? What total and permanent disablement of cover have you got in place? What income protection? What trauma cover have you got? Only recently, I used this moment of financial frustration to check my own levels of cover. And I actually was pleasantly surprised. Yes, my premiums had gone up, but also the level of cover that I have in place has also gone up. And it's giving me more valuable cover for me in my financial situation where we stand right now. I've shared with you guys recently, we've sold our home and bought a new one. It's a slightly bigger one. And it's a different one with a different mortgage. So seeing that my life and TPD cover has actually gone up works better for us, because it means more of our mortgage is protected. So if anything happens to me, and also Tom as well, it means we've got more cover in place to protect our financial well-being. And the same with my income protection. I realized I've actually got more income protection cover in place and more trauma cover. It gives me a greater sense of comfort. And whilst I was checking my insurances, as I said, I was also able to check my premiums and make sure they're still acceptable, they still fit within my budget, within my family budget, within my personal budget, and of course they're right for me. And if anything, I value my insurances more than ever before. But as I recommend, please make sure you always go and get personal advice when it comes to insurance, because it is a complicated area. You know, the devil is in the detail. You need to read the fine print. And of course, you need to make sure you have the right levels and types of cover for your situation, your goals, and of course, all your financial responsibilities. Also, under the subject of going wide, I also checked my super. I checked how much superannuation I have. I checked out what the returns were, what the passive income was. And yes, my superannuation has gone backwards. It's gone back almost 15%, but I'm not worried because it's a long-term strategy for me. I'm a high growth investor, so my portfolio is very volatile, which I'm not worried about. But I could see what my passive income was for my superannuation, because for me that is going to contribute towards my long-term mindful money number, which is my long-term passive income goal. But also in checking my superannuation, I realized I had some excess cash in my super. So in doing this holistic checkup of my financial well-being, I was able to organize to make sure that excess cash is now invested back according to my risk profile, which is a high growth risk profile. So it's not just sitting there, sitting in cash, earning not much at all. I'm actually able to stock up on some of my favorite investments within my superannuation investment portfolio. Next thing is, when you're experiencing financial frustration, is to use this time to slow down, to accept, to look for the lesson, the message, the valuable wisdom that the world or the universe is trying to teach me, to show me. Tough times don't define you, they refine you. So using this time as a blessing to see what I'm supposed to learn from this to become stronger, wiser, more resilient. This is really important, because when I look back at that time, that's those 6 years that I was saving so hard for my deposit on my first home, I learned so much about myself. I learned how to be patient. I learned how to have faith in myself. I learned how to reignite the motivation and passion in my life so that I could keep going. I learned how to exercise self-control, how to avoid those self-sabotaging things that we can all do in life, including myself, when it comes to this time. I mean, there were so many times in my life I could have just thrown the towel in when I was saving up for my deposit and gone on a massive trip around Europe. And I have to say, like, there were people around me who did that. They were saving up for their deposit and they just went, stuff it. I'm packing up and I'm going, and they travel, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. But some people also I know just went and blew it all on stuff. I'll never forget talking to this girl working in a shop, and she was telling me how she was saving up for her first home. And she was saving and saving, got really frustrated, and then just snapped and went and blew all her deposit, or a large chunk of her deposit, in the shop that she was working in. And yes, she got a great staff discount, but she blew all her money on new clothes. And gosh, that would have been like 15 years ago. I highly doubt that she has those clothes in her wardrobe still today. And I don't say that in a mean way or a judgmental way, but I remember that being a bit of a warning for me, or as a sign not to do that, to learn from her mistake, I guess, and to make sure I don't let that type of self-sabotaging happen in my life. And look, I've had little mini self-sabotaging ways, there's no doubt about it. I'm not perfect with money. I never profess to be like that. But, stopping and I guess taking a check-in with yourself to see what's going on in your life emotionally, beyond financially, to see how you're feeling is really important, because that can really stop you and help you stay in control and hold on tight during those, annoying, frustrating moments, so that you don't do something that you regret. And then finally, financial frustration is a great time, a great opportunity to rest and recharge. Use that time to just make peace that there isn't anything else you can do right now, that you're doing your best, you're doing everything that you possibly can, and to use that time to recharge, catch your breath again, relax, build up your energy supplies, rebuild up your levels of inspiration and motivation, to give yourself a bit of a pat on the back and feel good about yourself, so that when those moments do come back, where you've got those opportunities, you've got that insight, those phone calls, those messages, those emails, those job opportunities, those new savings, those new hustles that come in, you can grab them with both hands, because you've got the energy and the passion and the excitement in your life to grab them with open hands and seize them and make the most of them. And, it's that saying, when it's sometimes when it's raining cats and dogs. And quite often in my life, like, I've gone through moments where I get frightened and worried and stressed that there's nothing there, there's nothing happening, there's no opportunities. You think, oh my gosh, this is frightening and stressful, what am I going to do? But then a month later, I've got so many things happening. I'm literally like trying to catch them all. I'm running around like spreading myself thinly, trying to like take each one. And sometimes I think back and go, oh gosh, why didn't I rest more during that time and recharge my batteries more? And I can start missing those moments where there's nothing happening. It's frustrating. As I say, it's that saying, it's raining cats and dogs. It's a purple patch, as some people like to call it. So I really hope that if you're listening to this podcast and you're currently experiencing financial frustration, you're feeling a lot better about it. You know that it's not forever. You know that it's actually coming in your life as a blessing in disguise, and you know that you're going to get through it, and you're going to actually get through it by catapulting out of it. Catapulting where you're now going to have so much more energy, so much more resilience, so much more wisdom, and that you're going to be able to take and seize all those new opportunities that come to you from this particular experience in your life. And you are not going to let any self-sabotaging patterns or habits come into your life, and you're going to keep going and keep working on your financial goals. And you'll realize that from this, because you in particular followed my go wide approach, where you looked into other areas in your financial situation, not just the one goal that you're working on. You're going to check in with your super, you're going to check in with your insurances, you're going to check in with your budget, you're going to check in with your other financial goals in your lives, whatever they may be. And you're going to come out of this so much healthier and happier financially. As I said, it's about turning frustration into fascination. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you share this podcast, shout it out to your friends, tag them in my Instagram posts so that they get an opportunity to make sure that they listen to this. And have a great week, everyone. I will see you next week on Sugar Mama's Fire Play podcast. Ciao for now.